Clearly, I made a lot of mistakes or things I would give anything to be able to do over again. I didn't ever try to commit fraud on anyone. I was excited about the prospects of FTX a month ago. I saw it as a thriving, growing business. I was shocked by what happened this month, and reconstructing it. Where there are things I wish I had done differently.
Former FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried speaking at the New York Times' DealBook Summit yesterday, the first appearance since his firm collapsed and billions of dollars went missing. SBF claiming he did not commit fraud after losing billions of investor funds and then fleeing to the Bahamas. Joining me right now is Ohio Congressman, House Financial Services Committee member Warren Davidson. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. I know that hearings on FTX are beginning this month. What are you expecting to learn, and what is your reaction to him coming out in the middle of all of this and doing this interview, saying he did not commit fraud?
Well, I think the world is stunned that he's not in custody. I mean, when you look at the level of meltdown and the things that we've already uncovered, you just look at the op-ed in the Wall Street Journal from the acting CEO who's coming in putting this together. He's like, this is on a level I've never seen, and he did the Enron restructuring. So, that alone should say he should actually be have brought in and be questioned in the United States, not in the Bahamas right now. So I think people suspect there's another layer of two-tiered justice going on, a lot of continuing concern with the Justice Department. And I think it highlights the frustration that many in this space have had with the Securities and Exchange Commission. People do not have confidence that Gary Gensler is focused on solving these problems.
And why is that? Is it because he's been the big donor to the Democrats? Is that why he's not in jail right now?
It's possible, but I think the real issues, this whole space has kind of been hands off for a long time. Darren Soto and I have had a bill since 2018 to try to make it clear. Look, some things clearly are securities. They should be regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, and some things aren't, and the Securities and Exchange Commission should stay focused on their lane and get this under control. They're failing in this space. So the real question is it a Gary Gensler thing? Is it a structure of the Securities and Exchange Commission thing? Maybe both. But clearly things, if fraud happened here, we did not have the right structure in place to detect it. I mean, he bought a substantial portion of BlockFi. He bought a broker-dealer. How did those things go through SEC scrutiny and none of this get detected? So I think there are a lot of questions.
Yeah, Todd.
Congressman, there's also the specter of why this guy got to tell his story yesterday at the New York Times Summit. Look, I am all for journalism. If you have the opportunity to get a big get like Sam Bankman-Fried and you get to interview him for a journalistic endeavor, I get that. But this was a money-making endeavor, and I just think it sends the wrong message that, yeah, you can defraud people of billions of dollars and get to tell your story, quite frankly, in a friendly environment.
Yeah, not only that, the coverage has been giant fluff pieces from virtually everyone. So people look at the media and go, what's up with this guy? He's got all the... So basically, it kind of shows kind of this woke ideology. If you're down with the program, you're down with the team, well, you get one set of treatment. And if you're not, look what they're doing to Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's
right.
So
who are they more concerned about? Elon Musk? They're not concerned about Sam Bankman-Fried. If they are, it's all, how do we protect our guy?
Yeah, it's really rich to see the Democrats attack Elon Musk and do nothing about TikTok, by the way. Elon Musk is now saying that Twitter has, quote, interfered in elections prior to his takeover of the company. This is the former Twitter safety chief says it was, quote, a mistake to censor the New York Post's report on Hunter Biden's laptop. Yesterday, we spoke with Kentucky Congressman James Comer about Twitter censoring free speech and the cover-up of the Biden family's influence peddlings. Here's what he said. Watch.
The government has no business in censoring free speech. We're optimistic that Elon Musk is going to turn those documents over. I think this is something the White House is very scared of. Joe Biden was receiving benefits through Hunter Biden paying for basic living expenses, repairs to his homes, and things like that. This obviously is something that the president has lied about. He lied about his knowledge of Hunter's shady business dealings.
This is why they call it the swamp. I mean, they're all in bed together. You've got Elon Musk being attacked because he's not part of the club. And yet Bankman-Fried is getting away with whatever he did. He's over there speaking. He was a major donor to the Democrat Party. TikTok is a threat to our national security, and there's no problem there, Congress. What is going on with this two-tier system?
Well, I think we all kind of know, and the question is, what are we going to do about it? And so in this next Congress, as we go into the Financial Services Committee, we have to crack down and say, look, our capital markets are the best in the world. They're not going to stay that way if we keep politicizing all this stuff. We need to have markets that are focused and functional. And we look at, big government loves big business loves big government, and big tech's right there at the intersection of it. The whole idea that there would be a Disinformation Governance Board or Ministry of Truth in the United States of America is appalling. Meanwhile, the European Union is basically expecting it. So China, of course, demands it, and a lot of American companies are complying with these other regimes around the world. And then what they're really wanting to do is impose the same kind of thing on America.
Yeah.
So you have to make it clear to America's bureaucrats that, look, if you're going to censor American citizens who aren't guilty of crimes, you're not national security classified information, then that could end up being punishable, maybe even a criminal offense by federal employees.
Well, I mean,
we can't allow this.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point, because corporate America has been funding the expansion of communist China. And this is our #1 adversary. Do you think that Apple was directed to replace the everyone option for the AirDrop with a function that only gives users 10 minutes limit in which to receive files? I mean, did his Chinese overlords direct him to make it harder for the protesters to speak and make bigger protests through the Apple AirDrop feature?
Well, no one believes it was market forces, right? No, there was no market demand for that. It makes it harder to use. So, it's clearly the Chinese Communist Party. And you look at all these corporations, they won't call out China for what China's doing. Even if you look at TikTok, China's party allows one version of TikTok for the Chinese population, and they allow a much more corrosive version in our system. Now, we have a system of free speech. Frankly, Facebook and some of the other big tech companies in America are doing almost the same thing. And I think what they're really worried about is Elon Musk outing them and saying, yeah, we've got the same sort of pipeline going to the government, or at least certain officials within it. And, if Elon Musk is already saying, hey, look, Twitter actually influenced the election outcome because we were coordinating these activities. Talk about a big story, and I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of.
Oh, can you do anything about it? Are you going to look at this when you guys take the majority?
Absolutely, and
so
as Jamie Comer's talking about,
potentially interfering in elections.
I don't know about Twitter, but big tech. I mean, why look at one company? We look at, what's going on. People are being filtered. I mean, I still remember one of the hearings where Congressman Jordan was saying, with the big tech folks, they're like, well, you're being shadow banned. But it was really the algorithm. You're like, what was in the algorithm? The names Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, Matt Gaetz, and somebody else.
Yep.
And that's exactly what was going on. It was very selectively canceling news of the day and influencers of the day.
That's right. I think I was part of that as well, getting shadow banned. I certainly saw weird things on my own social media accounts. Congressman, we're going to be keeping a spotlight on it. We appreciate your leadership on the subject. Thank you, Warren Davidson, for being here this morning. We'll see you soon.